Morning. Everyone awake? Everyone seems to be sleeping, so hopefully this will wake you up. So my name is Charitha, and I'm heading Shift Digital, and there are two parts to my job. I play around with technology as well as digital marketing, and this word digital marketing is a bit of a commonly used word, and a lot of people ask me, what is digital marketing? What do you do? So pretty much this explains what I do. My friends think, I'm partying with the girls, which is not true. My parents think I'm studying really hard. But my clients think I'm on Facebook most of the time, which is kind of true. Society thinks I'm having a breeze, life at the beach with the laptop. I, of course, feel like I'm running Google, which I'm not. But most of the time what happens is I'm just tearing my head out. And that's pretty much digital marketing in this era. So the digital era. Someone asked me recently, how would I visualize the internet? And I kind of kept thinking about how would you picture the internet in one picture. It'll be something like this. Now, a lot of you might not understand why this kind of sums up the internet. I'll explain this to you in person after this session, because this picture itself will take about an hour to explain. But this pretty much is the internet. But where are we right now? This is the reality of the situation. We are a bunch of families sitting in front of a TV, not really watching the TV. I actually have a question about this picture. I'm not sure why there are 2 adults and 3 whiskey glasses. There seems to be a problem there, but that's a whole different thing. So this is the situation where we are in. We are a bunch of people watching TV, but not really watching TV. And remember those days when we used to say BRB? I'm not sure how many of you used MS and Messenger, probably the older ones, but when I used MS and Messenger, we used to be chatting, we say BRB. But we don't say that anymore, because we don't really leave our seat. We don't leave. We kind of live in this digital world, and that's the reality. There's no BRB anymore. We are always here. And you might take it as a negative or positive, but that's the reality of the situation. But do you remember this? When parents used to say, don't sit next to the TV, your eyes will get, But then again, in this year, we are kind of wearing VR headsets, which is like TV screens right up our face, and no one seems to notice, but here we are. So, let's quick stat check. 7.6 billion people in this world, 4.2 billion people are on the internet, and 3.3 on social media. So you can see how much we have grown for the past 20 years. And if you take social media as an overall, Facebook, of course, rules overall, but you can see how much WeChat has grown, which is a messenger service, and the enormous growth of Instagram, 800 million already, and it's actually moving faster than the growth of Facebook. So what about Sri Lanka? We have 20 million people, 27 million mobile connections, 6 million social media users, 880,000 Instagram users, and we always have about 4 to 5 aunties who keep sending us chain mails. But the funny thing is, these chain mails have stopped. Now they're sending this stuff on WhatsApp to me, and it's like they keep sending me, if you don't forward this in 10 days, something's bad's going to happen. And I keep replying saying, Auntie, this is not true, this is not the way it works. But that's the reality. As I'm speaking right now, it's been about a minute. We have about 900, almost 1 million logins on Facebook, about 4.3 million video views, 500,000 tweets, 187 million mails sent, and about 3.7 million search queries. And that's reality. Right now, that's what's happening. So this shows how much people are kind of interacting with the digital medium. So this whole technology we've been worked with, the reason why it's rapidly changing is because we love to share content and consume content. And that's the biggest driving factor of technology. The way human beings love, from cave paintings, to television. That's the reason why we rapidly change technology, is because we love sharing and consuming content. And if you take a look at how this world evolved from back in the day, anyone remember Atari? No? No one? Okay. So from Apple to Atari to the first Windows, we kind of rapidly changed to the mobile era, and now we have kind of gone to a different era, which is virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality, which the previous speakers kind of spoke about. But as you can see, this wave is kind of progressing at a certain rate. We really don't know what's next, but we kind of have a few ideas. So I will first speak about a few trends, and then I'll kind of go to what the future will hold for us. It has to be quick, it has to be fast. No one really has patience anymore, and that's the reality of the situation. Everybody wants everything fast. No one really wants to wait till the YouTube video loads. If it doesn't load, you skip. So we are in this instant culture, and it's almost like an obligation. It's gotten to a point which is actually really sad, because people don't seem to appreciate how much technology goes behind something, but everybody wants it now. And that is the reality, and it's very challenging for advertisers as well as content producers to kind of give out information at that speed, but this is what the customers are demanding. And because of this, people don't really want to call people anymore. The phone is being used for everything else apart from making calls. So even things like customer service is being utilized by messenger chats. People rather chat to a customer service representative than call, and that's the true fact about it. And even messaging apps like WhatsApp is kind of becoming popular for sharing news rather than going to a news site. So we can see this growth of chat services getting further and further. And from an advertising point of view, we are kind of moving away from typically branded messages, because people don't really have a passion towards branded messages. They feel like it's sponsored and it's paid for. And the fact is that people aged between 55 to 64 are twice as likely to click on branded content, than 28 or younger. And to kind of explain this point, I'll play like a 2-minute, 3-minute video. The reason why I'm playing this video is because it's one of my favorites. It's pretty old, but it's a perfect example of how a company kind of took what their purpose as a brand and kind of translated into this beautiful story and kind of ended it with their little product placement. And when you watch this video, you'll understand what I mean.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in a world of my creation. What we'll see will defy If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. Compare with pure imagination, living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. Simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it.
idea behind this was Chipotle was trying to kind of give out this idea that organic, freshly made food is much better than the whole processed meat. And without saying that story directly, they kind of gave this beautiful story about how this guy felt bad about living in this systematic world of processed meats and processed things, and he kind of went out of it. So this video is about 3 minutes long, but it has about 50 million views. Conventional digital marketers would say, the video has to be 2 minutes long, 1 minute long, but it's not really the case sometimes. It depends on how passionate or how compelling your story is. So that kind of brings me to this whole videos rule aspect. Almost 73% of all online traffic are videos. It's projected to go about 80%. Most of it which actually is about cats. For some reason, we have no idea why. But funny enough, I came across this guy. He's a YouTuber from South Korea who actually just live streamed himself studying. He didn't do anything, he just studied. And there were like hundreds and thousands of people just watching him study. And I have no explanation to this. And the only thing I could explain about this is that maybe people were anticipating something to happen, but this is a real life scenario. And he has millions of subscribers now just watching him study every day. That's, well, no idea. We have no idea how human behavior works, but that's an insight. And of course, we spoke about this VR, AR. So we are coming up with new ways of kind of consuming this video content, not just the typical YouTube videos you see every day. So if you take a look at a few stats, 4 in 5 millennials look at these YouTube reviews before they buy something. And these YouTube reviews are becoming very popular, and I can see a lot of Sri Lankans kind of getting onto it as well. There are 3 billion hours of videos watched every month, and that's crazy if you think about it. And live video performances are actually getting better results after they are offline. So people are actually utilizing these live videos a lot. Secondly, I just talk about ads. People don't really like ads. Well, not everything, but most of it we are tired of ads. That's because ads are everywhere. Everywhere you look, you see banner ads and telling you to click here, click here, click here, and it's really getting annoying sometimes. So as advertisers, as brands, as publishers, we kind of have to rethink our way of approaching ads. So the traditional banner ads have kind of moved away, and we are kind of going into this native ad space. And if you think about it, according to AdBlocker, which is a very famous ad blocker, 2 in 5 people have kind of installed this ad blocker because they really don't want to see ads. User-initiated videos are becoming very popular, which means they ask you to watch a video for you to get something, get an access to something, or get more coins in a game. Those are becoming more popular. Programmatic, I believe my previous speaker kind of touched on that. And of course, native ads, and this native ads rule. And the reason why I keep talking about this native ads is because it feels seamless, it feels natural. It's a product placement, which is not really a product placement. And to explain this, this is a quick video about how Microsoft Surface was relaunched. Sorry. Up.
You might not remember us, but we met in the 90s. We are members of Generation Y, as in yin yang, yo-yo. Life moved a little slower. Discs were square, desktop folders had personality. Extra storage space was just a zipper away. There was only one social network, but most of your friends died of dysentery. The only thing buzzing in your pocket was a pet, until that died too. But at least the troll was still a friend. Lunch was a puzzle, not a picture. You were pumping jams, water, shoes. You didn't have to worry about a news feed full of farm animals. You were busy feeding wild animals. A haircut didn't cost $60. It cost 4 minutes. You really had nothing to lose. Unless, of course, you were playing for keeps. The future was bright. You grew up. So did we.
Another example of how brands kind of tell a little story before they kind of push a product to your face. So then this culture about let's make him money. I mean, I'm just touching on this because the internet culture has become so widespread that you can actually monetize it and make a lot of money. And case in point is this guy, PewDiePie. I'm not sure if you know this guy. He's the #1 YouTube channel in the world. He started off playing video games and people watching him play video games and reacting to it. That's all he did. He wasn't exactly the best gamer in the world, but he just had funny reactions and funny comments to make. And he has about 54 million subscribers. His net worth is about $20 million. So this is a guy who stays at home, plays video games, and just reacts to it. And if you watch his videos, it's pretty funny, actually. And with this kind of trend, a new thing was born, Twitch. And Twitch is very popular abroad, and it's kind of picking up here, I guess. Twitch is where you can kind of have your own channel for playing your games, and people can watch, and people can subscribe to you. And 43% of all live video streaming on the online space is actually Twitch. And there are 55 million users, and it's growing. And streamers can earn in multiple ways. You know, they can be subscribed to, you have merchandise, you have various ways. So there are a lot of platforms that are coming up for anyone with an interest to kind of express it and earn from it. That comes up to this point where we have so much content going around. There's like an overload of content. Back in 2011, we had about 27 million pieces of content a day. Now we're talking about 3.2 billion a month. And this number is actually a best guess scenario, to be honest. No one really in the world can say we know exactly how much content there is in a day. But there's so much content. Now the problem with this is, with this kind of enormous content amounts, we come up with things like fake news and, you know, false information. And it's very easy for people to just put out information there and just make it a reality. And that's actually happening in Sri Lanka as well as in the States, where you saw the last election, how much Trump was in trouble for spreading fake news and things like that. So there's a lot of content which is not true. And to kind of make that point, I will quote from two of my favorite role models in life. One is Abraham Lincoln, who said, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture and with a quote next to it." And my second quote is from Einstein, who said, "I fear the day people post pictures, post memes actually, on the internet with quotes I never said." And this is the reality of the situation. You can just put a picture here and just put a quote and spray it around and everything becomes reality, but it's not. So let's look ahead to the future. What are we looking at? Typing words is too stressful. People do really getting tired of typing, and it's because of that these emoticons and emojis were born, and they're kind of going back to the cave drawings again, but the reality is that it's very easy to express yourself with a visual, and that's why this whole memes were born, because end of the day, any of us can relate to these faces because it expresses an emotion. So I see a future where possibly, not, of course, not these faces, but we will come up to a neutral digital language where anybody can go into a website and understand what's going on without actually being able to read a language. So there might not be words, it will be visual. So we might come to a point where we'll have a neutral digital language in the future. And that's a possibility. And a lot of brands are kind of taking advantage of this as well. This was a commercial, this was actually a campaign done by Durex.
Everyone's doing it. Yep, using emojis. Like this. Or this. Oh, cheeky. And we all know what this is, of course. A sexy breakfast at a ferry terminal. So it's easy to suggest sex, but there are no emojis for safe sex. That makes us. Especially as it's around World AIDS Day. So we, that's Durex by the way, are asking all of you, yes, all of you, to help us get one of these made. An official condom emoji. Look at it. Just use the hashtag condom emoji as much as possible. So the clever people who create the official emojis will see just how much everyone wants one. And they'll make one of these beauties. So then you can ask that special someone in your life for a... with a... which protects you and them and, well, everybody. So let's get an official safe sex emoji on every single phone out there. Show your support by sharing this film and spreading our message using the hashtag condom emoji. Just make sure you send it to the right number, huh?
So that's the reality, because people are actually using this kind of things, but it's easy to communicate with visuals. We all can relate to it. data wars. Now, this is a bit more technical stuff, but all this content, all this information, there's no point without being able to communicate data. And we have 4G, 3G, and things like that. And what I want to talk about was some innovative data transmission methods we come up with. There's something called data over sound, which they are kind of currently working on right now, where people can transmit data over sound waves, which means in the future, a phone can communicate to another phone with just simply playing a track. And the fact is, your phone microphone is always on, so it's a very easy way to kind of communicate. So that's something new. And then we have PDSL, which is basically converting your electrical sockets at home into data lines, where they will actually start transmitting your data through your socket. So basically, you plug in your computer to a plug, and the data is already coming through it. You don't have LAN wires and Wi-Fi and things like that. And then we have something called Li-Fi, where light is being used to transmit data. And this is actually being tested. And so in the future, you're talking about going into a room with fluorescent lights or the traditional bulbs, which will kind of transmit data, and you just have to get under that light, and you have data. And this is something, again, which will revolutionize the way we transmit and use data. And something kind of scary is something called heat transmission data, which they have done experimentation. This is still at the very rudimentary stage, where you can actually find out what computers are doing by reading the heat signatures of a computer. So you don't really have to be connected to the computer, you just have to read the heat signature. They've, of course, done a very, very rudimentary test right now. They've published the results, but the scary part is that hackers could easily get into your computer just reading the heat signatures. So the future of data transmission, as much as it makes it efficient, there are some scary aspects to that as well, and that's where I guess cybersecurity and things will come into play. So what does this all mean? Faster connections, zero lag. I know the gamers out here would love zero lag, so hopefully one day we'll get there, but we will have free from restrictions. It'll be easy to kind of create your own little digital bubble, and that's what all these data transmission methods mean to us. Then we go into this social media being subject specific. People are kind of moving away from the master of all social media. Case in point, Facebook. People are not really moving away from it, but the interest and the way they interact with it is kind of changing. Case in point, Instagram. When they came out, Instagram was known for a bunch of things, namely this. If you think about it, Instagram kind of made all these filters kind of popular, and the Instagram filter was like the main thing, because people love taking pictures and making it look good. But the insight here was that people love the whole photography aspect of it. And the interactions with Instagram was very simple. You like, you comment, that's it. You can comment, you can like, you can post a picture. Very simple actions, but it gives you a very niche solution that you are looking for. It's not for everything. So people are actually moving away from all these places like Facebook, millennials especially. A recent study shows that millennials are moving away from Facebook and into things like Instagram, which they feel is more private, which they feel they can control, and there's less clutter in it. And that's a very important thing for us. So in the future, we'll see subject-specific social media channels coming up. And even for a brand, if you take a look at this, is just a research that was done last year, where on Facebook versus Instagram, the red line represents a brand in terms of engagement. On Facebook, the engagement for a brand is way lower than Instagram. And to prove that, they actually posted the same content on Facebook as well as Instagram. And you can see there were like 17,000 interactions on Instagram, while there was about 1,500 interactions on Facebook. So people are actually engaging more with brands on Instagram. So that's a very keen insight. And Instagram is actually being used for a lot of advocacy. And the video I'm playing next kind of shows how Instagram can be used by different brands to kind of create a powerful message. This was a commercial that used Instagram to kind of showcase this addiction problem this lady has. But the whole idea behind it was that they created this profile with a very interesting girl, with an interesting lifestyle, but every picture she was in had a glass of wine or some alcohol beverage, and they used that and spun it around and showed how people can be addicted and no one really notices it. So again, Instagram can be used in various ways. And Instagram had an awesome insight. If you go to their website and if you go into their corporate site, they have this whole natural and unnatural pose, and that's why these long form videos were born, because people realized they hold the phone this way rather than that way. No one really bends the phone that way. You do once in a while when you're playing games, but they realize it's easier to kind of use the phone this way, because most of us use the phone while we are on the move. We are in a bus, we are in a train, we are walking around, and we keep this phone upright. And because of this, the IGTV was born, the channel. And the key insight, the challenge for advertisers, publishers, content creators is now that we live in a world of 16 by 9. This screen is 16 by 9. And all of a sudden, we had to flip it around and make content that fits this format. So it's very interesting. Plus, we can do crazy kind of content around that. Then we come to the me culture. And this is one of the, I think, the biggest, I wouldn't say a problem, but one of the biggest outputs of the internet world. It's all about me. That whole me culture has been prevalent in the digital era. And no other time in the human history where people have been given such importance because of social media. Social media allows you to make your voice heard. You can say anything about anybody. You can tag Donald Trump and talk to him. You can do anything. So that me culture is very, very prevalent in digital. And brands kind of have taken advantage of this as well as kind of, supported it. And to show that case, this was something interesting done by the Australian Tourist Board. So they kind of created the world's largest selfie. One more thing I want to talk about is this whole AI thing my previous speakers kind of spoke about. But in the future, I see where you have a digital assistant, a personal AI assistant for everything you do. That will remind you when to post something on social media, which will pick the best picture for you. It's already there on some of the Google features. But this hyper-personalization and AI will play a huge role in the connected world. And this is where we are finally coming into the AI-connected semantic web. And the funny thing is, it also has a downside. This happened about 3 days ago in the British Parliament when a speaker was making a speech, an official parliamentary speech, and this happened.
This involves the clearance of desert areas, securing the Syria-Iraq border, and rooting out the remaining several hundred terrorists who remain in outposts in the Euphrates Valley and surrounding areas.
I found something on the web for in Syria. Syrian Democratic Forces supported by premonition.
What a very rum business that is.
An intervention. No, but I do apologise for that.
So basically,
it is very rare.
Was listening to the entire speech, which kind of brings up to a very important question. Is this phone always listening to us? So after this incident happened, there was a huge turmoil in the British government saying, should we be bringing phones into the parliament? Because this guy was talking about Syria, and Siri kind of heard about it and gave him an answer. So it's kind of funny. So just to conclude with, the norms of the digital communication, it's not really a set-in-stone kind of thing. There's no real rule book. You can't really create a rule book for something that is changing so fast. So there's only guidelines to the digital world. But anything can be broken. Social media will get more private because people are having issues with the privacy and the leak of data with the recent Cambridge issue and things like that. Automation will happen very much faster than what we expect. The next time Instagram will pick the best picture of you and ask you if you should post it. And all you have to say is yes, it'll apply the filter and get it done. So that's the future we are looking at. And fact-checking. Because of this prevalent amount of fake data and fake information, I believe in the future everything will have an embedded fact-checking system to see if you're actually posting the real thing or not. And everything will be interconnected, obviously. Your house, your phone, your dog perhaps, your car, everything else. And your digital credentials will be the key to everything. As my previous speaker said, people will Google you and kind of see who you are. So your digital credential, made up of social media, everything else, would be the sum of who you are. And I hope that was interesting. Have a good day. Thank you very much, Edisalat, for having me. Thank you.